Today is February 26, 2025. This is the Feel Good Fame Masterclass where we're helping you actualize your visions, amplify your voice, and elevate your brand. We know the event. Clearly, you know why you're here. But when it comes to who I am and exactly how I can help you out, let me just first ask you this question. Have you ever had a moment where you potentially thought, oh my gosh, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this life. I feel called in my mission. However, sometimes I feel like it's easy to get off path. Sometimes I feel like the world is just pulling me in various directions and my mind cannot keep up. Sometimes I'm just trying to get one thing done and it's like that one task turns into 20 and neither of them get finished. If that sounds like any of you, or if potentially you're one of the types of people who you're working in a field that you love, but you know that you could potentially be making a bigger impact, and with a bigger impact, you could be able to affect and change more lives. If you've ever felt like that, put a one in the chat. If you felt the overwhelm of being a business owner, put a one in the chat. If you felt the overwhelm of being an employee working for someone who may sometimes see your worth, but not as often as you wish, put a one in the chat. I just want to know the types of people that we have here because I understand that when it comes to life and when it comes to people in general, we're humans. As humans, there are a hue of different things that we go through all throughout the spectrum. And I found that in my life, I had a lot of different identities that I wanted to have and a lot of different things that I've wanted to do at once. However, it took me getting focused on what it was that I actually wanted to do, the main thing, in order for me to start seeing progress in my life. Now, I'm just going to give you a very, very quick backstory because I don't want to necessarily spend too much time on me because this is about you all. So, as you know, my name is Lora Chatman, and I am the founder of Legendary Focus, where I help conscious creatives master their mindset, messaging, and media strategies they need in a way that feels authentic, aligned, and powerful. So I honestly am very big on people having their own power. Why? Because there was a point in my time where I felt powerless. I was a middle child. I grew up in a household that, while I absolutely adore my parents, I love them, God rest both their souls, they did the best that they could with what they knew. And so, as I was homeschooled, which I was very, very thankful for, I grew up not having a lot of the things that a lot of the people around me had. And I didn't even know because I was happy. I learned to be happy with little. And when we learn how to be content with small spaces in our lives, it can make it difficult for us to want to grow past where we currently are or where we used to be. And so when it came to thinking big, when it came to broadening my horizons, everything always felt new. I got into acting very young, at 13 actually. And then when I got into on-camera acting from theater, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so new. What are the possibilities?" At first it was just let me just do as many performances as I can in Chattanooga. And then I was introduced to an acting teacher who told me, there are TV shows you could be on. You could get an agent. And so I started working with her towards that goal. And I got an agent. And then I realized, oh, wow, I could be on movies. I could be in commercials. And I started moving up. I started doing more projects. I've been on BET, MTV, Oxygen, OWN, Discovery ID, and like I said, multiple movies and commercials. However, when it got to the conversation of potentially going to Hollywood, I paused. Why? One, I realized we were in the distraction industry. And I love my fellow performers. I love you all. However, I realized that there were bigger things going on in life, that the more I watched TV, the less I realized that my life could be way more interesting than what was on a screen. And sometimes we find ourselves living vicariously through everyone else and everything else, but doing it ourselves. And so I want you to ask yourself, Is there somebody that you've become so accustomed to cheering on, to watching, to living through that you've put your own ambitions on the back burner? And when I say on the back burner, when you're cooking and you're letting something just simmer. Yeah, it's going to get done eventually. You're letting all the flavors meld together, which is wonderful. But sometimes you have to tend to what you want in the present. You need to give it more attention so that you can finish the task. And I encourage everyone today to remember that as much as we are finding ourselves going through these different seasons in our lives, we're coming out of winter, it's warming up. I know a lot of you are already feeling the beauty of the sun coming out and melting the snow, or just melting the hermit that you had become and letting the beautiful, expressive butterfly that you are shine. And I know this analogy might be lost on some people who are having summer right now across the world watching this. But even so, seasons change. And when seasons change, new opportunities come to us. And we have the ability and the responsibility, even more so, to look at our surroundings and adjust accordingly. If I put on my big jacket and I go outside right now, I'm going to start sweating. And so we have to be very mindful of our circumstances. And so as I moved in my own circumstances and I realized I didn't necessarily want to go to Hollywood, I didn't also like the idea that some of the people I knew who got to that level, they changed. They did some things they weren't proud of. They wound up in situations that I'm not going to speak of because it's not my business to share. But I'm sure your imagination can fill in the blanks. And that being said, I don't want that to happen to me. And I know that that doesn't have to happen, especially when you create your own abilities, when you create your own opportunities, which is something that I wholeheartedly plan to do, not only for myself, but for the people who I work with as well, through the form of commercials, shorts, possibly even documentaries. But I knew for myself, I wanted to do something different. I still loved acting. I refused to do roles that I didn't believe in. And so I needed to do something else for money as well. And so I did what every performer does. No, I did not get a job waitressing tables. I did not become a stripper either. I looked into like network marketing. And then after a few years of doing that, learning the ins and outs of business, learning how to take no like a champ, I realized that I wanted to represent myself. And I feel like this is the journey that many of us wind up going down. Whatever the teacher is, the lesson always becomes follow your own path, promote what you want to do because it's going to make you happy. And so I realized that I wanted to help people get focused because that was my biggest hurdle coming up, was getting focused on what I wanted to do, what I wanted in life. And in meditation, the name Legendary Focus came to me, and I took it and I ran with it. I ran with it. I'm like, okay, Legendary Focus. Me and my husband, we had a podcast for a while. And then he realized he did not want to be on camera because he's an audio engineer. He likes to be in the back. So I'm like, okay, bump it. I'm going to still go head first, but I don't want to just talk to a camera giving advice. People would come to me behind the scenes. I realized that I could actually be charging them for the advice that I was giving away for free. And some of them actually were asking me to pay them. And so I did. I charged for what I did. I was helping creatives be able to learn how to monetize their skills and get their messaging together. And it was felt so good. And I realized that I wanted to help more people be able to create a life that felt good to them by channeling their focus into a predetermined outcome, which I call legendary focus. That is what creates results in your lives that make life feel so magical. And so I want to ask you, This is a little bit of a personal question. So if you want to type it in the chat, you can, or if you want to just put an emoji, or if you just want to like carefully raise your hand if I can see you on camera. I want to know, what would it feel like to be successful, but still feel empty inside? That is something that happens to a lot of us. Yeah, and it would feel sad. Absolutely. It would feel like, what did I do this for? Why am I doing this? And I realized that
Sorry, I'm walking, so I gotta interrupt you. Yeah, it wouldn't feel like success at all. I don't think. I mean, obviously, if you're technically find successful, but you don't feel successful, you're technically not successful. So that's what I would think. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely, it would make you feel not successful. And it would make you actually wonder, why are you doing this? And I came across so many entrepreneurs who I would work with, and look, I'm doing full on websites. This I don't like to promote that I do websites. I can if you need it. But in the beginning, that was one of the things that I was doing a lot of because I had a lot of tech experience. And I had did a whole website for a woman in a business that she'd created. And the whole time I'm listening to her, I'm trying to encourage her to follow her heart. Like, is this really what you want? I know this is what you're skilled in. I know this is what you got your degrees in, but is this really what you want to do? Is this really? And then she told me her skills, and I'm like, don't, shouldn't we put that on the website? She's like, no, no, I don't want people to know. She owned a hospice, and she also was a Reiki healer. And she didn't want to put the Reiki on the website. She's like, I don't want people to think I'm weird. I'm like, but is that who you are? And she's like, yeah, I love Reiki, and I do it in my work too. And I'm like, well, leave with that. She didn't want to leave with it. She built the whole website. 2 months later, she comes back to me and she says, you know what, Laura, you were right. I am miserable just doing the hospice care. I want to completely redo the website, and I want to just focus on Reiki healing. And so she realized that she had success. She was even starting to get clients, but she didn't want to go down that path. And so that is why I find it so very necessary to take people through the full, as I call it, the feel good fame formula. And so, what is this exactly? So, there are three parts to this formula. It's very simple. The first part is focus. And I say that because until you know exactly where you're trying to go, you're not going to go anywhere. So you have to get focused. Then feature. That is when we feature the gems from your journey. Lastly, famous. Everyone is famous for something, but you have to let the world know what that is supposed to be, or else you're going to feel stuck. So, if I have your permission, is it okay for me to just dive deeply, briefly into each of these so that you can be able to cultivate your own feel good fame in your own life? If that's okay, put two in the chat or just wave your hand if you're walking. Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get back into it then. The first step, as I mentioned, is focus. And to help you know the importance of focus, I have this quote that I always tell people: where focus goes, energy flows, and results will show. Now, what does this mean for you? It means that wherever you put your energy, wherever you put your mindset, that is where you are going to start seeing results. And to be able to channel your energy into a directed position, into a predetermined outcome, that is going to make it so that you can see results faster. Now, I know it can be very difficult because in life, it feels like everything is always coming against us, trying to stop our focus. Like I said, we got the distraction industry. We have billboards when we're driving down the street. We have pop-up ads on our computer. We have children coming at us, vying for our attention. You might have a spouse who's always up in your business when you're trying to do something productive. You might have family members parents or siblings who seem to come in at the worst times because they don't understand personal space or boundaries. Like there's so many different distractions that we have. And then the biggest one I feel is this little guy right here, your phone, because it makes us feel like we have to be on 24/7. It makes us feel like we have to be accessible 24/7. But you know what? I'm going to encourage you right now to start eliminating distractions by putting up boundaries. And a boundary that I did for myself for my phone actually stays on, it's actually on mute right now, but it generally stays on vibrate. I don't let my phone ring out loud anymore because I realized every time it would ring out loud, I would immediately stop what I was doing and I'd run to it, even if it was a notification. The other thing you can do is you can go on your phone and you can actually turn off the notifications for apps. Yeah, I didn't realize that for so long. It's so obvious. But you can actually tell Facebook, no, I don't want to know every single time somebody posts something. I Instagram, no, stop telling me every time one of my thousands of followers or people I follow go live. I don't need to know every single video that pops up on YouTube. Like it's okay. I will go find it when I'm actually looking for it. And the moment you start putting boundaries on something as simple as that, it starts to show your mind internally that you are worth being able to make decisions of how you spend your time. Because if we don't start showing ourselves that we are capable of deciding how we spend our time, then everyone else is going to spend it for us.
To
Okay. That was really weird. I do not know what just happened. Deeply apologize for my computer. It just literally everything just turned off for a second. But we're back and we're going to keep things moving. All right. So now that everyone is back in the room, I'm going to get back to what I was saying. So, what we were just talking about was the important question of how do you control your focus? Because it's very important for us to be able to have control back over our lives. Because if we don't show ourselves who's boss, then everyone else is going to assume that role just by
your computer is jumping in and out right now.
my computer's jumping in and out. Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. What about now? If y'all can hear me, let me know. Wait.
You're mute. Yeah.
Are we good now?
So, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That was strange. Like I said, I do apologize about that because don't know what's going on here. Hopefully, they're not every time they do an upgrade on the internet, it downgrades it for a second. So I don't know what they're doing in my neighborhood. I do hear construction going on, so hopefully that's not what's going on. So, and now we will be good to go. Now, back to, I'm going to take a second because I find it very interesting. When things like this happen, everything happens for a reason, one. And perhaps this is happening because this is a test. I say we always have lessons and blessings in life. And so I am not about to get upset because this is one of the things how you can control how you see situations. You see, I was called the Silver Lining Solutionist because I'm able to find a silver lining in anything. And so even in this, it is a perfect moment to demonstrate that when you are going through something and when you have everything planned out, sometimes it's okay to go off script. Sometimes the messages that need to come to people, the people who are exactly in the room at that moment, is more important than what you could have pre-planned because the gathering of souls that we have right now, I could not have, I could not have chosen this. There were supposed to be nearly 30 people on this live right now, but there's not. And there's a reason for that. And yes, they are going to get the recording. I promised them that I would do that. If they watch it, that's on them. However, I do feel that there is something about the energy in the moment, in a live situation, of the people who actually get to see what is going on in the moment. And so that being said, as we are on the subject of being able to control our thoughts, control our mind, control our focus, I encourage you to look at your own life and see what signs have been going on that showcase sometimes it's not always about control. Sometimes it's about being aware. Focus is not always about what you're doing. Sometimes it's about what you're not doing. And being completely honest with yourself. Is there somewhere in your life where you realize, you know what, I say that I want to focus on this. However, I let distractions come up around me. Maybe you have a cluttered environment. Maybe your mind is cluttered, and maybe your mind is cluttered because your space is cluttered. I always say that environment is stronger than willpower. And so if you are trying to become a more focused person, then cleaning up your space is going to help a lot. Segmenting your time, choosing one task, and then just working on it for 30 minutes, that is going to help tremendously. And when you work on that one task for 30 minutes, you say no to everything else. And you may need to do that as you are cleaning up your space. You may be like, okay, well, I'm going to work on my desk, and then I'm going to work on my clothes, and then I'm going to work on the dishes. And you set 30-minute timer. When that timer goes off, you take a break. And if you feel like going back to it, go back to it. But you give yourself the moment to say, I did the thing for 30 minutes. Now I'm celebrate. And you have to celebrate, because if you don't celebrate, then you're going to think, oh, it wasn't a big deal. And so being able to get back on your own good side, being able to forgive yourself for all of the shortcomings you had in the past, that takes taking time to recognize all of the good that you are doing in the moments when you chose yourself. It is not selfish to put yourself first, because without you being here, you can't help anyone else. There's a reason why they say put your mask on first before you try to save the child beside you. Because if you pass out, what's the point? And so we have to focus on cultivating a life that, one, we can keep up with, two, that we want to keep up with, and three, that is in alignment with who we truly are. Because if it is not, we're not going to want to do it. And so then let's just go ahead and move into this next point, which is making sure that we are completely aware of step two, which is feature. Now, you don't want to be a boot trying to sell a sandal. I know that sounds like a very strange quote, but it's something that my acting mentor used to always tell us. And it's so true, because how many of us have tried to be something that we weren't? I know for me, as an actress, there was a good long time where I did not want to embrace who I naturally was. I was trying to be like all of the other women who would be in the casting room with me, who had the long, weavelicious hair, super curvy bodies, revealing clothing. That just wasn't my style. And while I didn't get picked for a lot of roles, the ones that I did get picked for, once I started embracing who I was, when I stopped trying to fit in with all of these other people, it felt better to me. I didn't feel like I had to act. I just had to be. And the best actors are being able to be living organic situations in made up scenarios. So if I can live organically in a made up scenario on a screen, why can't I do it in my own life? Why am I not allowing myself to do it in my own life? I had to ask myself that question, and then I had to pivot. I had to shift. I had to ask myself, why is it that I'm playing small? And I have a good reason, at least I thought it was a good reason for pulling myself back. And it goes with this next slide. Who can tell me what this is? What are we looking at? Put it in the chat. Yes, it's an animal. It's a black sheep. Absolutely. And how many of us were so used to being the black sheep in our families That was my excuse. I always was the weird one. I was always the oddball. I was always different. And so if we're used to being the black sheep in our families, then don't you think that might psychologically make it so we feel like we have to be okay with playing it small in the real world? We're used to not fitting in, especially like if you're on this conscious path. And when I say conscious, some people aren't aligned with, they don't, they're not used to hearing like, what on earth is a conscious creative or a conscious uh, business owner or intuitive entrepreneur? Like, what does all of that mean? It basically means you are someone who is conscious of what you consume. And so, that being said, if you are conscious of what is going on around you and you are ready to be a leader and not just a follower, then we have to learn that when we are different from the people around us, yes, we can influence them if we try. But there's going to be a lot of effort that's going to be needed in order to influence a whole bunch of people who have no intention on swaying the way they feel. An opinion changed against one's will is of the same opinion still. And so that means if you try to force your views on somebody who is not listening to it, it's going to bounce off like water on oil. So you have to be smart enough, strategic enough to feature yourself, your ideas, your brilliance, you in a room that will value you. We can't be content with just being the black sheep among people who aren't going to value us. We have to step out and find our herd, our flock, the people who are going to resonate with what we do. And they may not immediately look like us. I'm not saying we all have to go jive without, people who look exactly like us, because not all skin folk is skin folk. But you have to be able to see the heart. And even if they're not fully yet to where you are, being able to recognize where they are on their path by looking at your own past. See, when it comes to featuring, it's not just about getting in magazines. Yes, that's wonderful. However, I like to look at it as what part of your story can you share that is going to inspire someone else to know I am not alone. There is hope. I can get somewhere. There is something bigger than where I'm at. I don't have to just keep feeling like this black sheep in my family. There is a herd waiting for me. You have to be that person for others, the guiding beacon at the lighthouse in an ocean. That is you. And the more that you allow yourself to shine by highlighting the gems from your journey, because you are full of them. And I mean that in the best way possible. There are experiences you've had that could teach master classes that would sell out just from you being you and remembering the lessons that you've come through. But you don't even value it sometimes. And I don't know if I'm talking to you directly. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so I'll just go back to myself. There were moments in my life that I did not value. Things that I went through that I thought, oh, well, that's just me. Everyone goes through that. No, no, I went through a whole foreclosure before moving to Atlanta, and I did it in style. Like, I was pretty proud of myself. I went from being forced out of my house with my family to moving into a homeless shelter, the whole time with a smile on my face, telling my family, yo, if we're being forced out of our house, if this is happening and we did everything in our power to make it not happen, then something really good is going to happen, you guys. Like, I don't know what's coming up, but this is a turning point. And they were so pissed off at me because they thought I was downplaying the situation. But like I said, Silver Lining Solutionist, I can't help it. There was something greater. And sometimes we will be forced out of situations that we never would have left out of on our own free will in order for us to step into our next level. And that's exactly what happened to my family. And if I had not gotten foreclosed on, I probably would have never wound up taking my now husband up on moving with him from Chattanooga to Atlanta to start a new life with him. He had the guts to ask me to do that because he could not stand seeing me in a shelter. And while I didn't see it as like I said, I thought it was temporary. I didn't know that that's what was going to happen, but it was the catalyst that needed to change. And I moved out. As soon as I moved out, my family was able to get a new house with the VA's help. And now they actually were able to move both of us. I first moved into an apartment. They first moved into a split foyer. But the next house that we both moved into. So I then moved into this house, which is an actual house. And it's beautiful in my dream neighborhood with sidewalks and a park and tennis courts and a pool and a lake. And I'm so thankful for it. There's an organic juice bar in walking distance. I would not have gotten that in Chattanooga. And so I'm so thankful. And then my family, they were able to move into a big house on a corner lot, which is what they always wanted. And so we have to look at the low points in our lives and be able to see that if we can just not get stuck in it, but if we can go through it, then we can get through the breakthrough. And when we get through the breakthrough, on the other side is what we were always wanting. And so all of you are manifesting something different in your lives. I don't know what it is, but you're all intentionally aiming for something, be it in your business, be it in your life. There is something that you want. And I'm encouraging you to go from something that you want to something that you know is coming. Because there is a big difference between I believe something is going to happen and I know something is going to happen. And so I encourage you to look at your life, to feature in your own mind first everything that you have gotten through to get to this point right now. And pat yourself on the back because you did the thing. And there's so much greater that's still to come. And I cannot wait to see what that is. But first you have to realize that past that you had is not a shackle. It's not a prison. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just motivation for somebody else. It's motivation for you. And so feature it in a way that feels good to you. Be able to see the lessons and the lessons that are in what you call your past, because it is going to affect your present. And the more that you can see the past as a gift, then your present can too be a gift as well. And if you look at your present as a gift, oh, you already know your future is going to be golden. So that being said, I want to go ahead and move into the next step, which is famous. Now, with famous, I have to say, we're all famous for something, just usually something we didn't choose. Who all had a nickname when they were a child? Just put me in the chat or nod your head if you did, if you had a nickname, or if there was that one story. Like for me, they always call me Little Bit. And because I was called Little Bit my entire life from my family, that was my identity. I was known for being small. But that also meant mentally I had to get over the idea that because I was known for being small, that it was okay for me to take up space. And so you have to ask yourself, what is it that everyone knows you for in your family? What is it that everyone knows you for in your business? What is it that everyone knows you for at work? That is what you're famous for. You might be like, man, it feels a little bit more infamous than famous. But either way, we have the ability to shape the narrative that the world sees us through. But the only way to do that is by shifting their perspective. How do you do that? You reintroduce yourself to them. Some people call it a rebranding. I like to call it a reintroduction because when it's been a long time since you've seen someone, like I said, the family. You see family members, some cousins, many years after, and at a family reunion or a wedding, a funeral, whatever. And they want to start telling those same old stories of the stupid stuff you did when you were a child. And then you have to remind them, yeah, that I remember that too, but I'm not that person anymore. Or they want to go out, like for me, like I have friends who are like, "Hey, let's remember those days where we used to go." I was a club promoter, and in the very girly way, which is why I would get paid to just go to parties and have fun and get people to go buy drinks and stuff. This is what I did as soon as I turned 21. And it was fun, but it was a very short season of my life. And I have friends who remember that time and they're like, "Wasn't that great? Let's go get a drink at that place, for old time's sake." And I'm like, "You know what? I don't drink anymore. That we can hang out, but I don't want to go to a bar." And at first people would be confused. When I turned vegan, oh my God, my whole family thought I went crazy. And they kept every family function. "You sure you don't want some chicken? You sure you don't want some the mashed potatoes? I know there's butter in them, but they're good. It's that organic butter at least." I'm like, "No, I'm vegan." And I had to keep introducing myself as vegan multiple times before people got it. I think it was really at my wedding when I only had vegan food that they finally realized, "Oh, she's serious. Okay, cool." So it's going to take some time for you to actually get it ingrained in other people's minds who you actually are now. But until you start making those reintroductions, they're going to keep seeing you as that old person, that old played out personality. And we have to remind ourselves that if we do not update our public persona as much as we update our phones, we are doing ourselves a disservice. Y'all around here, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but some of y'all, like, y'all stay up to date with your electronics. But you still have people looking at you the same old way. And you've changed. You know that there's something bigger that you want to do with your life. And so I am encouraging you to really look at yourself transparently and ask, how can I align myself in a way that is going to make it so obvious to the world that I am a different person? The way you do this is through intentionality. The way you do this is through a system. The way you do this is by getting clarity on who that person is that you actually are, because you're not going to reintroduce yourself if you're not even sure who that person is. Like, one of the biggest things that we have to do is get real with ourselves. Take that moment to be quiet, get still, meditate. Oh, I know that's a scary word for some of y'all, because the thought of being silent with your own thoughts can be scary. If you ask yourself, who am I really? If you haven't started doing the self work of repairing the relationship with yourself, you might hear a lot of negative things. And I just want to let you know that's normal, because that's what I kept hearing. A lot of times when I was first trying to start meditating, I couldn't sit still for 5 minutes without wanting to get up because the thoughts were just way too loud. But eventually I trained myself, and something you can use, a tip you can take. If you can't stay in silence, do guided meditations. And if you can't, and then once the guided meditations start feeling okay, try it with just some music. And then once you're okay with just the music, turn the music off and then just listen to the hum of the air vent. Something constant. Listen to the sound or the rhythm of your breath. It's just about being able to clear your mind out. And once your mind is clear, asking yourself the question, what do I want to do with my life? What would bring me the most joy? Am I happy? What would make me happier? These are questions that sometimes we don't like to ask ourselves because we're afraid of the answers. And we're usually afraid of the answers because we know that if we listen to the answer, that might mean that we have to start changing the things that we became so accustomed to. And going back to what I said about being complacent with being that black sheep, a lot of us also have become complacent with being unhappy. We've learned how to cope. Other people can be joyous. Other people can live the lives of their dreams, but that's for them. That's not for me. I can take it. I'm the strong one. If you've ever been known as the strong one, put me in the chat because I know that was something that I used to think I would wear with a like a badge of honor. I'm the strong one in the family. Oh, we got to walk on eggshells around everybody else's feelings, but mine, dish it out because I can take it. I don't take things personally. Yeah, but there's a side of you that does. And the more that you subject yourself to abuse of any kind, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, and this includes abuse to yourself, then the more you start to believe that that is what you deserve. And I'm here to tell you that you are worthy of so much more. And when you get around people who are celebrating you for who you actually are, who you are on the inside, who you are aiming to be, the feeling is just magnificent. And it may mean creating your own stage. And I look, shoot, I'm not even gonna lie. I did the same thing. In fact, I know we saw a couple of hands go up, but I just want to know, like, just show of hands, who is in the Atlanta area? Because I am actually going to be speaking live March 22nd at 2 p.m. at the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel. This is basically downtown Atlanta. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great event. And I cannot wait to be able to be there with everybody. So definitely make sure if this is something that you want more information about, let me know. I saw a couple of people in the chat who already said that they are in the Atlanta area. I will definitely make sure that you get a ticket. But I just want to know there are going to be some paid tickets, but there are going to be free general tickets. So if you want to just be in the room, then I encourage everybody, put it on your calendar now because it's going to be a good time. But that being said, that is an event that I am creating on my own because I want to be known for someone who helps people feel good. I've been creating the Feel Good Fame movement. We've been doing virtual events for 2 years now. And we even had our accelerator program. But I was like, I need to do this live and in person because I want more people to know me for what it is that I am doing. And so you have to look at your own life and see what stages can I create for myself? What platforms can I create for myself? Where can I highlight myself? So that when I am telling people who I am, when I am reintroducing myself to the world, I have an audience to do it to. Because you can come up with all the best stories in the world to share, all the best training tips, all the best coaching, all the best creative writing, poems, whatever it may be. And you may know fully who you are. But if you don't have anybody to speak to, you're not really making that big of a difference. And so I want to encourage you to think bigger. And sometimes you have to be around other people who are thinking big in order for you to be able to do the same. Like I said, environment is stronger than willpower, and extraordinary talent is not appreciated in ordinary circles. And so we have to go to extraordinary circles, or we have to create them, and the extraordinary people will come. If you build it, they will come, but you got to market it too. And there are ways to do that. I know it sometimes is something that can trip up people. You might be like, okay, well, I know I need to do this, but I'm just not 100% certain. I'm not 100% certain how. What are the mechanics? How do I go from this idea to this launch, to this event, to this reintroduction of myself on a public scale? How do I do it? And how do I do it on my own? Like, what if all of these visions that you hold in your mind, what if there was a way, a faster way to actualize your visions? If there was a way to actualize your visions faster, would you want me to tell you about it? Yeah. Okay. Well, there is, as I mentioned before, because we do have some people in here who have actually gone through this process. We have what I like to call the Feel Good Fame Accelerator. Now, this is something that has been a brain baby of mine for a while before I actually took it live last year. And seeing people go through it, we've had a few different runs of people, and I find it beautiful because everyone who's in here who's actually taken it, they're all from different cohorts. So that's actually beautiful. And with it, we've been able to revise how we actually get this going. So I just want to let you know. So what we have here is a program with two levels. Now, what are these two levels? They're general and VIP. Now, what do you get with these? What you get with both of these are you get 6 week structured program. You get live trainings and co-working sessions, and you get built-in accountability. Now, I do this because I realize that one of the biggest problems people have is like, okay, they're like, okay, I want to work with you. And when I work one-on-one with people, like we do sometimes like a month contract, but I like to do like a 3-month contract. And you got some people who are like, I can't really do all of that right now. So, all right, we pared it down to 6 weeks so we can really get everything in. Then what we did is we have our live trainings. And if you can't make it live, we always record everything. So it makes it a lot easier for people with busy schedules. We also have co-working sessions because I realized that it's so annoying to join a program and not have time to do any of the work, which is also why we do the built-in accountability. If you're not on track, if you are falling behind, I'm going to send you the assignments and I'm always going to ask you, hey, what were you working on? Did you finish it? Are you cool with us working on it in this co-working session so that we can make sure it gets done? Now, I like to give a little extra to people who join the VIP specifically. So with them, they're going to get hands-on help during the co-working sessions. This is where I'm actually going to take whatever it is that you're doing, and I will, and sometimes do it for you, like on the spot, do it for you. Then we have exclusive features to accelerate your success. So with this, I'm actually going to feature you in an interview so that you will be able to have the ability to reintroduce yourself on a platform that feels safe because you'll get coached up on it. Then we have exclusive messaging and voice memo access. So if you have any questions, you don't have to go through the Facebook group. You can actually go directly to this app where you can send me a voice note in real time that I can hear and I can get back to you. Now, your investment easily for VIP $3,500. If the people who work with me one-on-one, they would see this as a steal. General $3,000. But because you're on this webinar, we're not going to do that. Instead, we are going to make it so the VIP is only $24.97 and the general is $19.97. Now, there are a couple of bonuses that I want to help let you know about as well. We have on-camera confidence. Oh, we have a verified security code. Read the security codes below to all participants in your meeting. Participants should check that their security code matches yours to ensure that the meeting is end-to-end encryption. Okay, strange. Have not had this happen before, but I will. Oh, and it's gone now. So hopefully we're good. Zoom, what you doing to me? All right. Bonuses. We have on-camera confidence for live and virtual events. I'm actually going to do a class with you. Now, as I told y'all, I'm an actress and I've learned a few tips and tricks. You know, like I said, I've been in theater since 13, on-camera acting since 17. I'm in my 30s now. I won't say exactly what age I am because it doesn't matter. I don't age anyways, but just know I'm in my 30s. And with that, I have been able to see a lot of different ways on how you can actually carry yourself when you're on camera, be it from a computer like we're doing right now, or if you're on a stage, on how you can make that stage not feel so empty, how you can work the room, how you can make your audience feel engaged. There are tips and tricks, and they're not very hard to learn. You just have to know what you're looking for. And then there are also things that you can do before you even get on camera to make you feel more confident and at ease so that when you do hop on that camera, you're not freaking out or stumbling over what you're trying to say. Then our next bonus is how to build a landing page step-by-step tutorial. Now, this is something that I realize a lot of people they get confused about. It's like, okay, I know I want to build a page, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to take you step by step through how you can build out a landing page. And I'll even show you some different options so that no matter what your price point is, you can make sure you have that page down pat. The third bonus that we're going to give is something that is exciting to me because a lot of people have actually been benefiting from this. You're going to join the list of clients to be sent featured opportunities. And so, what do I mean by this? What I mean is, I regularly receive listings of reporters looking for people to feature. And when I see something and I know, hey, Asaki is a psychic and these people are looking for psychics, I'm going to send this to Asaki. Something like that. So if I know that you would be a perfect fit for something, I will send it to you. And not only will I send it to you, I will be like, yo, did you do it? Did you submit? You got any questions? This is all the information I have about it. But if you need some help with like how you need to word this, let me know and we can work on that. Because I definitely want to make sure that you're able to take advantage of the opportunities that come, especially when it's an opportunity to reintroduce yourself in a positive way. Then the next bonus that we're going to give away is free VIP tickets to the Feel Good Fame Live on March 22nd. So that is the event in Atlanta. If you know that you already want to go to it and you want to be able to be VIP, which I can let you know just some of the things that you're going to be able to get when you're VIP is that you will be able to sit up in the front, you'll get a workbook, and you'll be able to have questions answered live in a hot seat style fashion. So live coaching, whatever it is that you're working on, front seat access, and a workbook that you can take home with you. You're going to get all of that with the VIP, and you'll get that for free whenever you join the accelerator program. Now, once again, your investment is only 249 200 I'm sorry, $2,497 or 1997. Like that is not a lot when you break it down to what that is weekly or even per session. So just to let you know, we do 12 sessions total. And so that's really like only paying per session a little over $200. And once again, if people know when they work with me one-on-one, they know that it's way more than that if you're going to get a session with me, especially if it's one-on-one. However, I love my peoples. And so I am giving away coupons. You can put in the coupon code Masterclass and save 10%. This expires at the end of the month, which is Friday. So February 28th, right before midnight, it's going to expire. But you're going to get, if you use that coupon code, you're going to save almost $250 or almost $200, depending on whichever package you come in with. And Asaki says it's worth it, I promise. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, Asaki, do you mind, or John, do you mind coming off and just letting people know quickly how was the experience for you? Because I know both of you did it. We had a couple of people in here who've actually gone through the program, but if you'd like to just come off mute real quick and share how that was for you, that would be.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. I have been in business for a good enough time and worked with enough coaches to know when I'm getting results, when there is real effect happening, and also when somebody's getting to the core of what I do. And meaning, just like just now, Laura asked the question, like, what's your real purpose? Like, what are you really trying to do? It's great to say in a lot of stuff where you can make money, and I'm using air quotes as I say that. Um, but the bottom line is if you're not on purpose, that too, we talked about that. It will dry up quick. You will lose all verve for it because money is not going to hold your interest long enough. You got to be in something that really means something to you. So, having said that, my experience, Laura really made me think, and I'm in the thinking business, y'all. I'm a coach, I'm a psychic, I'm a counselor. So I do all of this stuff automatically when I can lean into people who can actually assist me in, you know what I mean, in the thing that I do. That's amazing. So Laura's really good at pulling out of you the story of who you are, what you are, how you can benefit your clients, your audience, everybody who's watching you. I've done one-on-one videos with her that I, to this day, I swear are the most amazing pieces of content that I have ever created because she's really, really good at showing you how to pull your story out of yourself. I hope that makes sense. And something else that just, oh, I already lost it. Dang it, it'll come back to me. But something popped into my head just now when you were talking. I'm like, ooh, I should say that. I'm sorry, I lost whatever it is, I lost it. But I'll come back to it. But absolutely, oh, it was about referring things. You have sent me probably three or four, and I'm just talking in the last few weeks. I've known Laura for a while. She's done this plenty of times before, but in her program, during the time that I was in her program, she sent me like three or four different things that definitely would, put me in front of people. So my point is a lot of people don't think that way. You don't normally get that kind of personalization. You know what I mean? Like, again, I've been in a lot of coaching programs and I run a ton of coaching programs. You don't normally get that kind of personal attention. And a lot of us are, we're moving into a weird phase monetarily. So it is really extremely helpful to have someone who thinks outside the box, who, is reaching in places that you may not be able to have access to, all that stuff. Really awesome. Again, worth it. I'll be quiet now.
Thank you so much, Asaki. Always appreciate it. Like I said, it was such a pleasure being able to work with you and all of the people who join. It's never the same group, and it's always this beautiful smorgasbord of exactly who needs to be there. It's so fitting how everyone just always complements each other, so that when one question is answered, another one can, someone who did not even think to ask it, it'll be answered for them too. So definitely. Oh, I see you over there, John. You want to go ahead and say
Yeah, and
it too?
she articulated that so well. I'm not going to add much more, but she's spot on. Because as you know, I didn't even want to be on camera, uh, and to, to get the message out. But likewise, as she said, like I've went through a lot of coaching programs and all that to try to see how people does it. But at any chance I get to tell people, like, you're not going to get the hands-on, like, as long as you let Laura know what your real goals are, and she'll help you dig that out or whatever. But there's you're not going to find this much one-on-one personal attention that cares about you succeeding with, reaching your fame and all that. So I recommend it as well. That's all.
Thank you so much, John. Like I said, I know you've been one of the day oneers, so always appreciate you and look forward to your return as well. That being said,
And
I
let me
know that
say, I'm not in Atlanta, but I'm coming from Memphis to be in Atlanta, to help out on your event.
yes. Yes, thank you for saying that, John. Exactly. So if anybody else knows that they're going to be in the area and they want to volunteer, I am accepting volunteers to be able to help with setting up and breaking down, tending to attendees throughout. And then, of course, by doing that, not only are you going to be in the room when it happens, but in case you miss anything, I'm going to have the recession recorded too. You'll get the recordings. So that's for volunteers. Just FYI, if you want to do that, hit me up. You can message me directly. If you are in this meeting, then that means we have communicated on something before. But to keep it simple, just you can email me at Lora, Lora, phonetically the easiest way to spell it, at feelgoodfame.com. And if you're in this meeting, then you know how to spell feel good fame. So Laura at feelgoodfame.com. Send me a message, put in the subject line volunteer, and I will be able to get that. I will probably in post put a little link right there. URL, email, so you can go ahead and see exactly how to spell all that, but definitely would love to have you volunteer. Now, with that being said, now that you know exactly what you're getting, you see the wonderful discounts. Like I said, I definitely wanted to make it pretty easy for people to go through with this program. So we knocked off that extra 10%. Now I want to go into questions. And feel free, like I said, to go to feelgoodfame.com/accelerator if you want to be able to hop back on. If you want to be able to join us in April when we get started. So that being said, does anybody have any questions? And I know that we also had, I let people be able to send questions in via online ahead of time as well. And so I do want to get through live questions first, but if we don't have any live questions, then I'll go ahead to the ones that were submitted to me. And these questions can also be about anything. So let me clarify this. This does not have to be necessarily about the program. It could be about your business too. If you specifically have something that you want me to answer that you've been mulling around that you're thinking about doing, but you want a second opinion on, like, let me know. And I got you. All right. So while you think about that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the questions that were submitted ahead of time, which was, do I have to pay it all up front? No, you do not. We have payment plans. If you go to feelgoodfame.com/accelerator, you actually click on the any of the join now buttons. In fact, I will just quickly share my screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. You scroll down here, you click this button. Bam, you see that you can pay with Klarna or Afterpay, which gives you the option to pay in 4. So 12 monthly payments, 6 or 4 interests. This is based on credit, so apply if you feel like you're going to get it chosen for it. Once again, Klarna, even more, 24 months, 18, 12, 6, 4, or 3. Now, we also have the option, and this is just literally the you can put in Masterclass and then it'll take that 10% off as well. But this is literally just for the general admission. It does the same thing for the VIP. So regardless of which one you want to do, you can be able to break that up. And if you need a custom payment plan, let me know. I am allowing that as well. And as long as you were paid, here's the thing. We start in April. That is a good long ways away from now. So you're going to have to be, before you get started, you're going to have to be no less than 50% paid up. So if you are okay with that, we can, like I said, we can start a payment plan. And all you have to do, if you want to take advantage of that, I'm going to drop my Calendly link in here. Hop on a time with me and we can talk about how we can customize something for you. That's also especially good if you're like, I want to do this, but my credit might not be the best, but I know I want to do payment plans. What can you do for me, Laura? So that is an option for you right there. You have over a month to go. So that will really allow you time to spread those payments out to get them all done. Next question that we had was, I like this one too. Can I do this with a crazy schedule? Now, I don't know about y'all, but like I said before, it's hard sometimes to show up for things. So recordings, I record everything and you will always get the recording within 24 to 48 hours from any event. So that being said, if we have a class and you're not able to make it, it's okay. You can watch the recording and then just look at it like an online course. However, different from an online course, you're going to actually be able to go into our Facebook community group and ask me questions that you have about it. If you weren't able to ask it live, you can always put it in there. If you're VIP, you, as soon as you finish watching that video or as you're watching it, you can like Voxer me and be like, yo, Laura, so I'm watching this and it's cool and all, but I have a question about X, Y, and Z. Can you help me out? And I will. It's that simple. So yes, even if you have a crazy schedule, this can work for you. Now, speaking of it working for you, does this really work? That was a question. And as you heard from Asaki and as you heard from John, abso-freaking-lutely. We've had multiple people who've come through this program. We have even more testimonials that are actually on the page itself. And I have two more that I'm going to post from last night. Well, what day is it? It's Wednesday. So for Monday's session, when we closed out the last accelerator program, I got a couple of testimonials from that as well that already have come through from people who wanted to share their experience. So yes, it definitely works. And as Asaki mentioned, it's definitely worth the investment because you will get that back if you apply what I teach you. Do the work. And if you're one of those people who are like, I've done programs before, but I just never followed through, that is why it's an accountability group. That is why I am going to be there respectfully poking you to make sure that you stay on track. And if something happens in your life and you're like, I just don't know if I can do it. We had one woman who she had to drop the class. She had life things happened and she dropped the class after 2 weeks. She knows that she can always come back and finish it out. And if it's a situation where you ever have to drop and you've already been fully paid out, then you can always get the recordings and you can finish it in your own timing. So never feel like you have to ever suffer in silence. You have a team of people with you. Once you're in my ecosystem, I am always here for you. All of my past clients can let you know that like you become family to me. And if you're looking for a community, then I'm here. So with that, if there are no other questions, I'm just going to remind you again to go to feelgoodfame.com/accelerator in order to join the program. Use code Masterclass. It's available until the end of the month, which is Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any questions, there will be a Calendly link. So you can always click on that and I'll be sending out an email after this, so you'll definitely be able to get both of those links so you can check them out. But with that, thank you so much. I truly appreciate all of you for coming. And if you would like to leave some feedback for me in an email, just simply respond to the email that I'm going to send you out and leave whatever you want to say. And that would be so helpful. So thank you so much. Be blessed, stay legendary. Peace.